Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. Okay, William Morris has come into my room. I have been slowly pulling together elements for this project for probably 12 months. I still don't know what I'm going to make. I have one idea so far. Where we go through this series, I do not know. Hang on for the ride. I don't know how long this series is going to go. It could be 5 episodes and I'm over William and I'm moving on, or it could be 25 episodes because more ideas come to me. The reason I say that is because I have a few elements that I can use in the project, and that in itself may take me further than I think. So the first thing is I've got some digital kits. I'll go through those with you in a moment, tell you who I got them from, and sort them so that I sort of start thinking about what I want to do with them. The other thing I also have is a pack of fabric that I picked up at a quilt shop that is all William Morris fabrics. Now, this is what's really cemented the project, plus it also hasn't really helped me know where the project's going to go, if that makes sense. So let's have a quick look at the fabrics first, because I just adore them. I seriously would love just a big quilt made of William Morris fabrics. So not that that's a possibility, but that's probably would be on my wish list, but I don't think it'll happen, but you never know, maybe one day. It's just gorgeous. Now, Mr. Morris, I'm sure you've all come across his design somewhere in your crafting rooms. If not, just popping up from time to time, they appear everywhere. I'm not sure who has the rights to them. Are they in the public domain? I sort of think they must be, because there's so many kits available on Etsy. Look at that. Oh, there's so many kits available. So, and some of them are the original artworks, because I started Googling look at the bird, Mr. William. Well, that gives me an idea. Sorry, just thinking. All right. See, I want to drag slow stitch into it, but I couldn't work out if my slow stitch style suited the style of William Morris, patterns and things. But also in my slow stitch world, I want to do a study of some birds. I have a journal that has a space. I did recently the study of mushrooms in that journal. I'm just jumping up and grabbing it. See, I'm off on a tangent already. Goodness me. Let me take the camera back up into the air. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this journal here has space in it for more stitcheries. Now, if I undo this, this is a flip out that I put in the front of the journal, and I did a study of mushrooms. So it just gives you that longer space to work with. In the back of my head, I would love to do a bird stitchery. So, some sort of branch and these random birds all over the branch. And I'm just thinking, okay. I didn't know if stitchery would happen with this fabric. I sort of felt like it was going to be a quilt one day, like I just said. But now that I've spotted this bird, there's actually birds through his artwork. So I can bring birds in. So I think, yeah, let's do it. On the back page of this book, I have a spot here that also flips out. There we go. It's a folded piece ready to go. So I've got a piece of fabric in here ready, and it'll give me the length I need. So there we go. I think this is going to be a 20+ episode exercise now, and that bird is what's kicked it off. So I'm going to put that piece of fabric aside and just pop it on that journal. So another day, another episode, we will explore that. Look at these teals. Oh, that piece of fabric can go with it. What else is in here? Okay. Oh. Oh, look at that. So to me, that's not a classic William Morris. I don't think that is. I think the quilt shop has added that. I might be wrong. It's definitely from the era, you know, the style. Same with that. Yeah, it's not. I've got a different pack. Okay, hold the phone. That is a different pack. I've just picked it up. That is true, William. Yep. Yep, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so those ones there, they aren't William Morris. Definitely not. That could be, but I'm going to say it's not. But I'm really not sure. I think that's a different little pack that has either been blended in with it, or I didn't realise I've picked it up in the cupboard and sort of grabbed my hand around it. So that needs to be taken out because I'm 99% sure that that's not William. Yep. Oh, gee, they're nice. I might just take that golden colour out of there because I'm feeling like my birds are going to drift from the blues into the yellows. But who knows? Project for another day. Look at that. My goodness me. Just excuse me for a moment as I just admire. Okay, I'm going to put these three with that journal. These two at the this pack at the moment is just to the side, and they will probably appear in a paper project, like a journal, so to speak. All right, let's look at the kits. Now, the kits have come from two companies, I believe. Chapter 1 Papers is the main one, but then at the back here I've got some random pieces of ephemera that I'd like to have a play with, and they are from Collage Type. I will put the details of these two designers in the description box, but honestly, if you went to Etsy and typed in William Morris, you will find so many kits. That's why I think it's all in the public domain. And yeah, because look, even in my little pack I've been collecting elements for, there's a paper napkin here that I came across. I've only got a little bit of it, but look, William Morris. So the napkin industry is also using his pieces. So these are all pre-backed, ready to go. I had planned to make myself one of these journals ages ago. So I had all of the tags and journal cards pre-backed. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's probably my favorite design. This blue with his green. Just gorgeous. So I think the journal's going to drift towards those colours, but, you know, I don't want to restrict myself. Just beautiful. I've sewn around that one. If only I'd sewn around those. Wouldn't have that been a nice little surprise? So I might just put those pieces to one side with the sewn element, and I will have some homework there. I'll need to sew around those so they're ready to go. So I'll put that as a to-do off camera. The paper napkin can slide in there. That'll be lovely to have a little bit of paper napkin around the place through the journal. Okay. Now, the papers. Oh, beautiful. Now, a lot of them are the journal page itself, so ready just to rip, fold, and put straight in. Maybe we do a bit of that as we go. Let's get rid of that. Might as well do something while I'm yibby-yabbering. And you can sort of see the papers as I roll, and we'll sort them too. Okay, so they haven't been tea dyed or Parisian dyed, so I've printed them on the back instead. That way I don't have to worry too much about white paper anywhere. So I printed front and back. Some of them I haven't because I'll be using them for collaging. But that's going to be, you know, perfect for a journal page. Let me just grab my bin. So this kit has a little bit of text in it as well, which is great. Just breaks up the heaviness. That's going to be the challenge of this project, is keeping it light, as in not too much of the pattern, because it could be just a big mushy mess. And I don't really feel like I can bring birds, butterflies and things like that in. Look at that on the back. Oh. I think I might flip them over so you can see one side as I tear it, and as I place it to the side here, you can have a look at the other side. Yeah, I don't think I can decorate with birds, butterflies, flowers, nature, unless the flower is of the styling that is William. Having said that, I just found a bird in amongst that fabric. So I guess if I get a feel for the way he drew his birds, maybe there's an opportunity to bring birds in as a decorating element. But until I sort of get a bit of a feel for his style, the style of fussy cut birds that I have might not blend real well with it, if you know what I'm saying. They might be too... yeah, a different era. So we will see. So I'm going to have all these pages that, oh, lovely. Isn't it just like eye candy? Now, I did write a few notes about our Mr. William down when I went into Mr. Google and checked these things out. So if you don't know anything about William Morris, I have a few little bits of info here for you. He was a British textile artist, obviously, a British designer. Now, he also was a poet. He was also an architectural conservationist. Now, when I sort of Googled what that meant, it sort of came up that Prince Charles is of that sort of category too. It's someone who appreciates historical architecture, whether it be from the 80s or the 1800s, and are often involved in committees that advise government agencies on how to preserve and look after such buildings. So I thought that was interesting. So he's obviously very aware of, look at these, aren't they? This is college type. So what I might do is these will need to be backed. So while we're chatting, let's trim off that excess paper like I like to do. And you can have a look at the design as well. Instead of a general flip through, I'm working while you guys are looking. So this kit is the Sage and Willow Embellishment Kit from College Type. Yeah, so he was a... I might put those to one side. So this is the next pile. Yeah, he was obviously involved in preserving architecture, which is along the lines of what Prince William does seem to have a passion for as well, which is really cool. He was a social activist in the British arts and crafts movement. So I thought this was interesting. This is us, ladies. We're in the arts and crafts movement, and he was a social activist. So obviously out there, you know, making people aware of the industry and what, you know, what it entailed. So the spinners, the weavers, the printers, the sculptors, you know, if you think of all of the pillar categories of arts and crafts, the big name of which we may fall underneath, he was an activist for those industries, which I thought was really interesting. So I guess textile mills were very, very much around in that era. So he would have been, I'd say, very involved in the survival of those Industries, which I think is pretty cool. So that was the main 2 points that I got from his life. I haven't got into any of the scandals that may have been around him, whether there was any or not. You know, who knows? Did he have mistresses? Was he a nice man? Was he a bit of a rat bag? Was he a real bugger? Who knows? I haven't found anything in Google yet to say any different other than he was a designer, an artist, a poet. So that is our Mr. William Morris. He was born in 1834. Wow. And he passed away in 1896. So where's my calculator? I'm not very good at maths. And I haven't had enough coffee. So how old did he live? I think that what the average age in the 1800s was probably 38. So I'm just working out how old he was. 62, so he did well. Okay, that makes me think he had access to good hygiene, good food. He was someone who looked after himself, or he was just extremely lucky, and I think it would have probably been the first. Let's go to Mr. Google and find out the average age in the 1800s, Britain. Life expectancy, Britain in the 1800s. Okay, 40. There you go. I had a feeling it was around that sort of number, 40. So today's average age is 77.7 for men and 82.9 for women. There you go, girls. That's because we do craft. It keeps us calm and centered, as long as the project is going along nicely, of course, which is not always the case. Let me just adjust my camera. You're getting more shot of my clothing than you are my project. So there you go. He did well. He lived past the average age. That's good. That's really good. I'm not sure if there's any museum or historical locations in the UK dedicated to William. I'd probably think there would be, because he's, you know, pretty well admired. So this page here is technically not, look, there's a wolf. Look at that. Peacock. A rabbit. There's a bird. I've seen that bird before in a kit. Whether that's a William thing, I don't know. See, he was an artist. Just reading this text here, that's just generic English text that this creator. There's a lot of kits out there that will pick a primary colour from one of these designs. Let's say it is this one. And then put a wash of blue or wash of green or, you know, another colour over it. And then there's all these papers that are generic. Here we go. The next piece that I'm about to pick up is like that. So let's move this over to the side here. We've got our pages. We've got our to be backed. I'll actually put that behind me. That's a to-do list. And now we've got some collaging papers that we can use to decorate our journal. And this is what I mean by they've taken a print and they've turned it into a colour that can be matched up to a journal kit, which is perfect for us to, I guess, take a breath. Say this was in the, you know, glued onto a page, something like that allows our eye to sort of, you know, take a rest from the project or the page, the collaging. So I'm just going to tear it down with the sides off as well. But those kits that are just like, let's call them background papers. I'm going to separate this a little bit more too. Or will I? Disorganised here. I might end up dividing that into two piles. Full-on imagery and something a little bit more subtle. So I'm just going to pop them there and see what I printed off. So I've got a real green thing happening here. Now, the other thing I was trying to get my head around is how he did this. How did he How did he do it? So the best way I can describe it is he created a stencil, and that stencil was often on timber. So he would draw the design, and he would draw probably about that much. I'm not sure, but just a piece of this design. Then he could print it, whether it be screen printing through a stencil system or onto block. He seemed to do a little bit of everything. He would then print that, then another print, a different color, and build his pattern up. Then he would move that first block up a bit, print again, print again, print again. He'd sometimes twist it one turn and print, twist it another turn and print to create the patterns, and then build them up, build them up. So very, very interesting, very time consuming. But once you got that original print, now this here actually gives you a hint of it. Look, see down the bottom here, there's a cross lines. That's the block indicating where he was going to print. So, and in the bottom there, you can see some little outlines of the shape to come, which in this case was the fruit or a flower or a bud. So that's how he did it. And I can actually see right through this design here is a cross. So that may have been 4 blocks that he built up. So he did this one, then this one, then this one, and this one. Then he would go a little bit further along onto the paper or the fabric and repeat. There's a lot of repeats. It's like he put all the effort into his design in a small area and space, and then print, print, print. Now that makes me think that he went into a lot of wallpaper production. I don't know if he actually had a facility that he owned. I'll have to find out. And made his own wallpaper, or he went to local artisans that specialised in that, and they printed them for him, as well as fabrics that were turned into curtains. So he can't have been in the manufacturing side of things. If he did, wow. I have a feeling he probably was the design element. And there would have been heaps of textile mills and printing houses around London at the time that were able to, you know, turn his designs into realities. And the other reason I think that may have happened, like, I don't know, I'm just thinking it through, is to print something like this in layers, colour upon colour, would have taken weeks and weeks and weeks. And when you start Googling his designs, there is thousands of designs, which makes me think he was an artist that designed and then went to a production house to have them turned into something saleable, which then maybe gave him the money he needed to extend his life by probably an extra 20 years. It's very interesting. Oh, if only we could have time travel. If I could time travel, there are so many areas of history I would drop in for a weekend and have a little look. Because you get questions like this. Like, I want to know how he lived. How did he make a living? What sort of business did he have? This is probably my business head coming in. I really enjoy understanding businesses. I really enjoy sort of getting my head around how it works. Like even businesses that pop out from nowhere, like Etsy. How does it work? How does it come to be? How do their background processes work? How come this happens, that happens? You know, that really gives me a buzz to just sort of have a bit of a look at the structure of it. And that applies to history. Here now I'm in papers that have a tone about them. Yeah, so, oh, that's just beautiful. Look at that. Oh, see, that could slide into Christmas. Even those greens. William could pop up again, folks, in Christmas. Oops, tore that a bit crooked. Should be concentrating a little more. So yeah, if I could time travel, I would go back to have a look at William's world. I would have a look at Edith's world. Imagine going into their studios. Oh boy, oh boy. And then following them around for a weekend. Where do they buy their art supplies from? Who makes them? Who makes those brushes? Who makes the tools? We're talking the 1800s, so things aren't as easy as they are now, production-wise. His paints, his inks, what he considers when he looks at a design. Yeah. Very interesting. So this video is not really giving you a great deal of direction, but I don't have any direction. So at the moment, it's just prep everything, have a good look at everything. Gee, that's unusual too. There's birds in that. Sitting in amongst those leaves are all little birds. How beautiful. So I guess the next decision, we've already decided I'm going to do a study of birds focusing on William Morris as my theme, my fabric theme. Who knows, will that lead me? That will be so much fun. I'm so pleased I was able to drag stitching into it, because if you follow my channel, the two worlds have collided. It helps keep me interested, plus gives me projects to do when I'm not in my room, whether that's watching a movie or going to a friend's place or a weekend away with friends. I've got a project that I can take with me. So if you're wondering why, you know, often you've asked and you've wondered how I get so much done in my day, considering I also have a business as well, is I try and create projects that can travel. You've probably noticed that in journal packs that I make for myself, that I can just pick it up and go. So if I'm traveling for my business, let's say I'm going to China for 10 days to select stock for my business, I will take with me something I can do on the back seat of a car, because there is hours and hours and hours of driving between all of the factories that I deal with. So to have a project with me that is, you know, tight, it can operate here, which brings in hand sewing. It's perfect for it. Needle and thread, some fabric snippets, and away I go. Crocheting is another one, especially if it's a project where I'm just crocheting a little square. I can just take the yarn and a hook, and when I come back I will have, you know, 100 squares crocheted, and then all I got to do is put them together. And I often find too that when I do travel for my job, I'll spend, you know, all day in factories selecting products for the Christmas stores, and my brain is just firing. You know, you probably hear it sometimes in me where I get really amped up on what I'm thinking. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's got tulips through it. So when the day is finished, and because China's so big, sometimes we'll get back to the hotel room and it'll be 11 o'clock at night and I'm amped. I've been picking ribbons or creating snowmen, or, you know, in a lighting factory, creating lighting pieces with my husband. I'll be so wound up and thinking about the products. What am I going to do? I wonder how much that'll cost. Maybe I should have done this. Did you see that? We should have asked this. You know, you can imagine what it's like. So I get back to the hotel and I'm fired up and I can't sleep. I need to unwind, and that's where some of these projects come in, because it will, let's say I'm crocheting, for example, or doing hand sewing, suddenly my mind forgets everything that happened in the day, and I need to count stitches. I need to focus on my stitch, and that helps me unwind. So that's why I get so much craft done, is because it's constantly around me. Look at that. Ah, now this is interesting. Look at this. There is a grid going through here. There you go. You can see that. And this is how he does it. Down the bottom here, see down the bottom those lines? That's the first print. Then he's dipped it in blue paint and he's done another print. Now there is a grid coming through here. So he is doing section by section by section. There's a little bird. Now if we come over here, he has done another print with yellow, another print with red, another print with brown, another print with green. You can see it on the leaves. For example, see the little blue leaf here? Come over here, and now they're starting to get green in them. The flowers are building up, the bird's building up. There's layers within the bird. That's how he creates his designs. It's a carved piece that can be printed and dipped in paint, print, dip. And then he's done another piece that matches into it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Not only just to draw it, but then the process of printing. He had to be involved in this part of his business. He had to be. Unless he literally drew them on sketches and then they went away to be carved. I'll have to find out. I'll do a little bit more research. There'd have to be some YouTube videos on the process, like a documentary. Let me just grab my phone. Let's have a little look. I'm just going into YouTube. I'm going to search William Morris printing process. Let's see what comes up. Oh, here we go. Woodblock design, printing using traditional methods. Wallpaper direct. Yeah, see they're big blocks of timber that are being, boom, down they go onto the wallpaper. I'll bring that up to the camera. See that man standing there? He's got a big timber, carved piece of timber, pressing a design onto fabric. William Morris. Why did William Morris dye his hands blue? What's that all about? There we go. Look, you can see the paint and the roller pressing onto the paper, one section at a time. Look, here's a rabbit hole. There's quite a few documentaries. There you go. Homework, peoples. History of wallpaper. Look at that. Look, 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 look. Oh, there's an ad. Look at that. That's a good one. So design inside a history of wallpaper. That will be very interesting to watch. Oh, look, there's a house. Oh, what's that? Chadwick House. Anyway, stop it. So there's some homework, ladies and gents. Off you go and Google William Morris printing methods, wallpaper printing methods, 1800s. And let's have a little look at what they did, because that will be super, super interesting. Oh, look at that. There's a rabbit. Oh, there's Bunny again. So this must have been... Ah, okay. Look at this. The Victoria and Albert Museum. February 10th to the the 8th of April, admission free. I don't have a year. Kensington, William Morris. So this is from a poster. Obviously a exhibition held at some stage, whether this happened recently and this artwork's been used in this kit, or it was from some time ago. Who knows? But very cool. And this print with this rabbit was used. How beautiful. How beautiful. If only I had the talent to draw like this. But there's only one William Morris. It need not be two. Just beautiful. Just seen me when I spotted that fabric pack in the patchwork shop. I think from memory it was at Hervey Bay too, if you're wondering where to go looking. But if you type in William Morris fabric, it's heaps of it out there. Heaps of it. Oh, some of these papers are beautiful. I guess the next thing I need to decide is what style of journal am I making. I've been watching a new channel that sort of has popped up in the last month or so, and it is 507 Willow House Designs, Leslie. You'll often hear Rachel refer to Leslie's channel. And Leslie, she's a card. She's just, you know, those days where you just want to hang out with someone who makes you feel good and makes you giggle and just feel a little lighter in your world. Leslie's your girl. So if you just want just to hang out with, she always calls everyone girlfriends, and it's like that. If you just want to hang out with the girlfriends and giggle like a silly girl with your mates, like we just don't do enough, go to Leslie's channel. She is just a riot, absolute riot. And Leslie's style is using envelopes and putting them together to create a combination of a few things that are out there, like a concertina journal, a envelope journal. Rachel has been doing envelope journals for donkey's years, using old envelopes, joining them together to create, you know, a journal. And Leslie has taken it the next level, that if something was a concertina, for example, so this is like a overall view. Well, this is my understanding of the style. Let's say that's concertina. She would have a journal in here and a journal in here. That's the gist of it. And then at this point, she would have something that just flipped out, that could be folded back in, and at the front here, something that flips out and folds back in. But that's the gist of her base, is that concertina. And then she decorates the pages with printed pieces like this, and then also within those folds of her concertina, she adds journal pages, so antique book page and printed pages and all sorts, and then decorates accordingly. So I'm thinking that that might suit this style of journal, because it sort of will allow me to play with the patterns, which I think is what I want to get out of this project, is being able to select the different designs that William has done and work them together. And as you can see, I've printed off some greens. I've got a selection of golds. So it would be a bit of fun to drift through the journal, changing colours as I went. So that's sort of where I'm thinking I'll go with this journal. I've made envelope journals before, and they're really simple. You can do so much with them. There's no set pattern. It's just glue envelopes together. If you want to follow what Leslie does to create hers, you can watch episode 1 where she does an actual series on making them from scratch. But let me warn you, it is confusing. She gets confused. It's hilarious. Even if you just watch it for a giggle, it is just hilarious. She is so funny. And she puts these comments up on the screen. Nope, I don't have it right yet. Yet you hear her voice in her demonstration, and she's positive she's doing what she needs to. Look at the birds. She's positive that she's doing exactly what she needs to get the base ready to decorate. And even by the end of that first video, I'm pretty sure you can hear it in her voice that she's not even convinced she knows what she's doing. It's just so funny. And it's how we all work, to be honest, because we're knocking things out. We're trying to work out, you know, where we're heading with it. This here I'm just going to cut down a little bit further out because they might end up being journal cards. And if I need to glue this on paper, I've got, you know, a bit of space. If I want to use it in the journal itself, it won't matter. I can, you know, come back and I might use scissors because gluing, that's a degree of difficulty. There's a few of them here. Aren't they pretty? Look at that one. See, this is another example of him building up the design, and you can see the first print there where they haven't put the ink into the design. It's just stunning. Oh my goodness. So I'm thinking I will make a envelope journal, gluing envelopes together and then just decorating them and just falling into the William Morris beauty. And then to the side, I will be working on a slow stitch piece for another journal spot in my Journal of Stitchery project, which is not technically Journal of Stitchery, but the Journal of Stitchery activity that we're all doing inspired me to make more journals to put stitching in. I've been doing that for a little while because, you know, you can only hang so much on your wall. And they were just sitting in containers in the cupboard, so I just started making them into books, and that sort of kicked off when I was watching Anne Brooks. It was the start of the pandemic. We were all going into lockdown, and everyone was stitching, and then what do you do with the stitching? You make a journal. So that's for me how it sort of evolved, which is great because now I have these books with gaps in them that I can just go, oh, I've made something, it suits this book, over to that book it goes, which I just love. So there will definitely be some stitching. Just gorgeous. Now we're back to this paper. This must be a reprint. Let's have a little look. Have we seen this image? Am I getting doubles? Yeah, okay. We'll prep them anyway because they can then just go into my stash as unused, but at least backed, stitched. They can be slid into a little plastic envelope, go into my little box, and then they're ready to, you know, be used in future projects. Yeah, this is I've printed two. Look at that bird there. It's like a nightingale. That's a style of bird that I think I'll do in my stitchery. A nice plump looking bird. Yeah, I think that's, you know, a round chest. I'll try and build them up out of fabric and then stitch on top of them. I guess the one question, I'm going off on a tangent again, will the background be all William Morris fabric so that I get to see the beauty of them? And then the birds are more neutral. with embroidery on them that tones back to the background of the fabrics. Or is the background neutral and the birds are made from all of the fabrics? I think if the birds are made of the fabrics, it's going to be very hard to get detail onto them because these fabrics are full on. And I think once I start cutting, you know, a wing of a bird out, I'm going to be chopping everywhere to get the imagery I want. I'm going to lose the design element because I'm only looking for tiny little pieces. So I think what I've got to do is create a background of William. So that's like a wall of William, a wallpapered wall of William Morris. There's the fabric name there too, guys. If you wanted to go looking for it, Free Spirit Fabrics, William Morris. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create the base, the background, the collage of him, and then on top of that, build my branches and my my backdrop. So I really love, see how that bird's nestling in that? They've created the branch, well, William has. He's drawn his branch in, then he's got his olive leaves, and then his little bird sits in amongst it. That is not a bad piece for inspiration, to be honest. Okay. So I've got my papers prepped. I won't back those yet because they may just be elements within my collaging. I've got some pages that are just general collaging as well. So they can all go together because they're similar. And I'll just put a bull clip on those. I then have general pages that can be woven through. So let's ink them now. Then that job's done. How are we going for time? Got a few minutes left. So what I might do now is pick up my glue stick and just start backing all of those pieces that may be tags and ephemera in the little journal. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to do an envelope journal. I could do a hardcover journal and then use some of the fabrics to, you know, cover it and decorate it. But I don't know. I could, here we go. What if I made a stitchery journal themed with the fabrics from William Morris, and then as I do stitcheries focusing on William as the designer, they have a home. Then I get to make a journal from scratch, put all the pages in, do an actual stitchery, get my birds out of my head. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, now this series is definitely going to be probably 25 episodes. But that's all good. I really wanted to get into this. I want to have a go at drawing some of these designs and embroidering them as well. Like I like his composition, the way he builds up his branches and then it flicks out like a vine. I think that is something I would like to explore, even if it is in the actual journal itself, where I just pick up a pen and try and capture a section of that design within the journal. I don't know where that'll lead me. So I could just about do an art journal style project as well, where I have a space to go to draw. Now that actually brings another idea into my head. Here we go. I have this adult colouring in book collection, and they're all sorts of different topics, and there's one in particular that I'm really drawn to, and it is of this nature of floral swishing around type of imagery. Whether it is William Morris, maybe it is. Maybe, I'm going to have to look into that. I'll dig it out and we'll have a closer look at that, because maybe that could be utilised not only within the journal itself, it could certainly be part of some stitchery. As well. Anyway, I've got a lot to think about. That needs to tear down there. So hang on for the ride, guys. I do not know where this journey will take us or what we will make. It's just going to be, let's just fall into the world of William Morris. So there's my pages. They're all inked and ready to go. So let's put a bull clip on them. Gonna need a project box to put everything in, otherwise it just explodes. I'm going to keep those fabrics aside, and I'm going to take this journal away because it's not going to have William Morris in it. This journal to me is more shabby chic, you know, floral tones. It's sort of, yeah, a different feel. I can still do a bird thing here, but it probably would be more in the tones of pretty florally images. Oh, love that. That there was a needle book kit that I bought from Anne Brooks, and in that little kit you got all sorts of bits and snippets and things like that would make a needle book. So all of the background fabrics. My fabric is this rose print and these doilies and these little flowers and the buttons. But everything underneath it, if you look past my flowers, you'll see fabrics in the background there, just randomly stitched. That is the sewing needle book kit that I purchased, which has been sitting in my cupboard since, you know, lockdown. And I decided to turn it into a two stitcheries, so a more complex one and then a pared back simple, just scraps. So after I did this background, these few pieces were actually left. So a lot of fun. So if you do buy a kit from a designer and you just never get to make whatever it is, it might be an Easter basket and all the fabrics are included in that kit, you don't have to make the Easter basket because you've got the pattern. So you can do that anytime. But if those fabrics is what's caught your eye, pull them out and make them into a piece to go into a journal. It's a lot of fun. It's like putting your own mark on it. Okay, so I've got my fabrics. They will be hanging around. I've got my napkin. We've got some ephemera, which I will glue paper on the back so that I get them to this stage where they're all backed and ready to go. And then I will go and take them to my sewing machine and stitch around them. So that's what I will be doing next. And maybe the next video will work through this sort of stage of the project. and get that all ready. The other thing I want to use in this project is I've printed off a little bit of music paper from a particular kit, which I do not recall the kit name. I will find that out and it will be in the description. So that's going to be also part of our project. Let me just rip them down. So probably just used for collage. But I will endeavour to find out where this kit, this music page come from. I know it's just like 3 or 4 music sheets in different hues and design elements. And it's great for just background. The other thing I want to use, which I've never used, and I'm going to pull it out of the archives, is years ago I was at an antique market and there was a gentleman there selling pianola rolls. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it's an organ or a piano. I'm not 100% sure. It's an organ, I think, where the music was on paper with little holes, and then as the pedals went, the spinning would happen and the music would come out. There you go. There's my technical understanding. Now, if you wanted to change the song to a different song, for example, can't read that, no idea what it says, that song, you would go to your shelf and pull out the pianola for the song. How cool are these? And I've seen people use them in journals. So this is the old girl. She would hook into the sewing machine, into the pianola, hook in, and then as that rolled onto probably another roll, this paper would appear and holes. See all the holes? Those indicate music notes. So somehow the machine would catch those holes and trigger a note. So you could pedal away and play a song. So what I want to do is, I've got like 5 of these. I want to use them. I've seen them used in journals. I'm going to use them. They're in my stash, and my stash, if I don't use this stuff, it'll all end up in an op shop, and I didn't get to play with it. So I've grabbed out a pianola roll, just the coolest things, and we're going to collage with it. My neutral paper is going to be this. Okay, so that is the music element. It sort of fits with the era too of William Morris. So there you go. We've got our collage fodder, we've got our pages, we've got some fabric, and we've got a pile of ephemera that we can use. So there you go. That's the start of the project. I do not know where we will go. I'm not even sure what we will make. Sounds like fun. All right, guys, look after yourselves, and I'll see you all in video 2 of our William Morris journey. Bye for now.